Hello, and welcome to PRINCE2 Foundation Certification course offered by Simplilearn. This lesson is about Change theme. Change is one of the 7 themes of PRINCE2 methodology. Let us discuss the objectives of this lesson in the next screen. After completing this lesson, you will be able to define Change theme, explain the PRINCE2 approach to Change theme, define the roles and responsibilities in Change theme. Let's look at the purpose of Change theme in the next screen. The purpose of the Change theme is to identify, assess, and control any potential and approved changes to baselines. In a project, whenever any product, either specialist or management product, is produced and gets approval from the relevant management level, then it is baselined. This helps to know what was agreed upon in the first place. Baseline can also be called as first agreed version. For example, if communication management strategy is prepared for the project and it's approved by the project board, then this needs to be baselined. Change is inevitable during the life of a project, and every project requires a systematic approach to the identification, assessment, and control of issues that may result in change. Change can be raised by any stakeholder, and change control is a continuous activity. The aim of issue and change control procedures is not to prevent changes, but to ensure that every change is agreed upon by the relevant authority before it takes place. Change can only be considered in relation to an established baseline. Therefore, a prerequisite of effective issue and change management is that there should be an appropriate configuration management system that records baselines for the project's products and ensures that correct versions are delivered to the customer. In the next screen, we will look at the key definitions of change. Before we discuss the procedures, let us understand the key terms related to this theme. Configuration management is defined as activities to create, maintain, and control the changes of configuration items throughout the life of a product. Configuration item is defined as an entity that is subjected to configuration management. The entity may be a component of a product or set of products. A release is a complete and consistent set of products that are managed, tested, and deployed as a single entity to hand over to the users. We will continue our discussion of key definitions in the following screen. Issue is any relevant event that has happened, which was not planned and required management action. Issue and change control procedure ensures that all the issues and changes which affect the project's agreed baselines are identified, assessed, and approved, rejected, or deferred. Issue and change control procedure needs to be integrated with the configuration management system used by the project. In the next screen, we will look at the different types of issues. Issues may be raised at any time during the project by anyone with an interest in the project or its outcome. PRINCE2 defines 3 types of issues. The first is request for change, which is a proposal for a change to a baseline. For example, although it is not specified in the current corporate branding standards, the corporate logo should be shown on the greeting cards being sent out to existing customers of a corporate organization. Off specification should be provided by the project, but currently is not provided or is forecast not to be provided. This might be a missing product or a product not meeting its specification. An example for off specification is that the corporate organization had specified in the contract that all the greeting cards should be in color. However, it has been found that its supplier has printed the first 20 cards in black and white. The project manager has raised this as an issue, and the supplier has to reprint those 20 cards in color. Problem or concern is any other issue that the project manager needs to resolve or escalate. For example, advice from a team manager that a team member has been taken ill, and as a result, the target end date for a work package will slip by a week. Next screen looks at established controls, a PRINCE2 approach to change. Changes should be approved against the baseline management product. There has to be some mechanism for managing the changes. Projects controls for issues, changes, and configuration management are defined and established by the initiating a project process. Configuration management procedure and issue and change control procedures are, if necessary, updated at the end of each management stage by using configuration management strategy. Configuration item records, product status account, daily log, issue register, and issue report. Let us discuss the first management product, which is configuration management strategy, in the following screen. Configuration management strategy defines how configuration management would be carried out in the project. In other words, it explains the configuration management procedure to be followed in the project. Next, the configuration management strategy also explains the issue and change control procedure. Issue and change control procedure ensures effective issue and change control, which essentially means a well-defined procedure of identifying and resolving issues. In addition to these two procedures, there are other important aspects of configuration management which are defined in configuration management strategy, and they are the tools and techniques to be used, how the records will be kept, how to measure and report the performance of the procedures, timing of configuration management, and issue and change control activities, and roles and responsibilities for managing changes. We will continue our discussion on configuration management strategy in the following screen. Configuration management strategy should define the way issues are handled in terms of priority and severity. There are numerous ways to prioritize issues, one of which is called MOSCO, where the issues are rated as must have, should have, could have, or won't have, at least for now. There are numerous ways to rate the severity of issues, such as numeric scale of 1 to 10, or a descriptive process of rating them as minor, medium, major, or critical. We will continue our discussion on configuration management strategy in the following screen. One of the importance of defining the severity and priority of issues is to delegate some authority of accepting or rejecting change to someone other than the project board. This is to ensure that project board does not have to address each change in a project. For projects where there are likely to be considerable changes, the project board may choose to delegate some decisions to a person or group called the change authority. It may be appropriate, for example, to make the project manager the change authority for work packages. Sometimes a change budget is also set aside in a project. Change budget is a sum of money that the customer and supplier agree on and will be used to fund the cost of requests for change and possibly also for their analysis costs. Analysis cost is the cost incurred in analyzing the change budget request. It might involve a third-party consultant or another employee within the organization, which will incur a cost. Analysis cost is part of the change budget. In the next screen, we will look at an example to illustrate the configuration management strategy. In a project, a laptop has been assigned a unique asset ID. However, a desktop computer, which performs the similar functions as a laptop in the same project, has been considered as a combination of three separate configuration items: the monitor, the CPU, and the keyboard. Each of these configuration items has been given an asset ID. Configuration management strategy for the project will determine the level of configuration management to be achieved in a project. Let's understand some of the key terms associated with change theme in the next screen. Understanding the key terms is important for the comprehension of configuration management procedure. Configuration item records. The purpose of the configuration item records is to provide a set of records that describe information such as the status, version, and variant of each configuration item, and any details of important relationships between items. Relationship between the configuration items records those items that would be affected if this item changed. Usually, in a configuration item record, information like item title, item type, that is, whether a component, product, or release. Users who use this item, owner of the product, etc., are captured. Product status account. The purpose of the product status account is to provide information about the status of the products. For example, to find out the latest version number of a product or set of products in a stage. The report could cover the entire stage, project, or history of a particular product. We will continue our discussion of the key terms in the next screen. The other associated key terms are daily log. A daily log is maintained by project manager to record informal issues, required actions, or significant events not noted in other PRINCE2 registers or logs. There may be more than one daily log, as team managers may elect to have one for their work packages. Issues initially captured on the daily log may later be transferred to the issue register if, after examining them, it is decided that they need to be treated more formally. Issue register. The purpose of the issue register is to capture and maintain information on all issues that are being managed formally. The issue register is monitored by the project manager regularly. Issue report. An issue report is a report containing the description, impact assessment, and recommendations for a request for change, off specification, and problem or concern. It is only created for those issues that must be formally managed. In the following screen, we will discuss some examples to illustrate the key terms. An example of variant is the official PRINCE2 manual, which is available in more than 10 languages, including English, German, and Spanish. For example, if the operating system is upgraded from Windows XP to Windows 8, some of the software installed on the PC need to be upgraded as well. Otherwise, the new operating system may not support the existing software. This is an example of relationship between the configuration items. The author of an issue report may be different from the person or team raising the issue. For example, a customer of Hotels.com has raised an issue about a hotel that was booked last week. However, the issue report would be prepared by the associate from Hotels.com handling the customer's complaint. Let us discuss configuration management procedure in the next screen. The configuration management procedures can vary depending on the size of the project, organization policies and standards, but they typically include 5 core activities. The first activity is planning, which is determining the level of configuration management required by the project and planning how to achieve this level. The next step is identification, which is specifying and identifying all components of the project's product, also known as configuration items, at the required level of control. A good practice in identification is to use a coding system and a unique identifier for each configuration item. The third step is called control. Both management and specialist products are subject to configuration control. Control allows the ability to approve and baseline products and to make changes only with the agreement of appropriate authorities. It also ensures that proper approvals are taken from appropriate people. Configuration control also includes storing and retrieving all information relevant to the management of the project, ensuring the safety and security of configuration items, and controlling who has access to them, distribution of copies of all configuration items, and archiving of all documentation produced during the project lifecycle. The fourth step is status accounting. This is about reporting of all current and historical data concerning each product in the form of a product status account. The last step is verification and audit, which is a series of reviews and audits to check the actual status of all products as against the agreed state as recorded in the configuration items records. Configuration management strategy is also checked in this step. Let us look at other aspects of this strategy, especially related to issues and change control procedure, in the following screen. Let's now go through the second procedure of configuration management strategy, which is issue and change control procedure. PRINCE2 provides a common approach to dealing with requests for change, off specifications, and problems or concerns. As seen in the image on the screen, this procedure also consists of few steps, and they are capture, examine, propose, decide, and implement. The first step in the procedure is to capture the issue and undertake initial analysis to determine the type and severity or priority of issue that has been raised and whether it can be managed informally or formally. Issues being managed formally should be entered in the log register and given a unique identifier. An issue report should be created to capture what's already known about the issue. It is often useful to ask the person who raised the issue to create the initial issue report. The next step is to examine the issue by undertaking an impact analysis. The impact analysis should consider the impact the issue has or will have on the project objectives in terms of time, cost, quality, and scope. The project business case, especially in terms of the impact on benefits, the project risk profile, that is, the impact on the overall risk exposure of the project. Impact analysis must cover the three areas such as business, user, and supplier, for example, the supplier's cost and effort required to implement a change, and what products would have to be changed. After undertaking the impact analysis, the severity or priority should be re-evaluated. It may be necessary to request advice from the project board to check their understanding of the issue's priority or severity before proposing resolutions. In the propose step, there is a need to identify alternate options or responding to it and proposing a course of action to take. Options should be evaluated as to the effect each will have on the project's time, cost, quality, scope, benefit, and risk performance target. There must be a balance between the advantage to be gained by implementing the option and the time, cost, and risk of implementing it. If the recommended option would take the stage or project beyond any tolerances, a project manager should consider preparing an exception report for that option to accompany the issue report. The next step is decide. In some situations, the project manager may be able to resolve issues without the need to escalate them to the project board. Other issues may require escalation to the project board or its delegated change authority for a decision, if the issue is beyond the delegated authority. The escalation could be in the form of an issue report or in the form of an exception report, and the recommended option can be approved, rejected, or deferred. The last step in the issue and change control procedure is to implement. Depending on the project board's decision, the project manager will take the corrective action and update records and plans. For example, updating work packages to incorporate the agreed changes or issuing a new work package to address the change. Let us complete the discussion on issue and change control procedure with decision-making step in the following screen. This is one of vital steps in the process. There are three types of issues: request for change, off specification, and problem or concern. As seen in the table on the screen, the project board or change authority may approve the change, reject the change, defer decision, request more information, or ask for an exception plan. More information is requested if the request for change control cannot be implemented within the limits delegated to the change authority. If a request for change involves extra cost, there are three principal ways to fund it. They are: change budget can be used if it is functional and of sufficient size. The project budget can be increased or other elements of the project can be de-scoped. As per PRINCE2, tolerance should not be used to fund requests for change. The tolerances are specified to manage poor estimates. The user should have a clear understanding about it from the foundation as well as practitioner exam perspective. We will continue our discussion on decision-making in the next screen. As seen in the table on the slide, the second type of issue, that is, off specification, the project board may grant a concession, instruct that the off specification be resolved, defer the decision, or may ask for an exception plan. The exception plan is in case the request for change control cannot be implemented within the limits delegated to the change authority. The project board may decide to accept the off specification without immediate corrective action. This is referred to as a concession. When a product is granted a concession, the product description will need to be revised before the product is handed over to the user. In case of third type, that is, problem or concern, the project board may provide guidance or may ask for an exception plan. The problem or concern could be resolved by relaxing the stage tolerances. We used a couple of terms here like tolerance, exception plan. Do not worry if you didn't get them. These are the subject of our discussions in the next lesson, progress, and we will revisit them multiple times in that lesson. In the following few screens, we will look at the responsibilities of the different roles in this theme. The table on the screen depicts the responsibilities of corporate or program management in Change theme. The corporate or program management provides corporate or program strategy for change control, issue resolution, and configuration management. The executive should determine the change authority. The executive also needs to set the scale for severity ratings for issues and for priority ratings for requests for change and off specifications. The executive responds to requests for advice from the project manager and needs to take decisions on the escalated issues and needs to focus on the continued business justification. The senior user responds to requests for advice from the project manager and makes decisions on escalated issues, with particular focus on safeguarding the expected benefits. Senior supplier not only responds to requests for advice from the project manager, but also makes decisions on escalated issues, with particular focus on safeguarding the integrity of the complete solution. Project manager manages the configuration management procedure and issue and change control procedure, assisted by project support where possible. The project manager creates and maintains the issue register, assisted by project support where possible, and implements corrective actions. The team manager implements the corrective actions. The project assurance advises on examining and resolving issues. Project support administer the configuration management and issue and change control procedures. These procedures are: maintain configuration item records, produce product status accounts, and assist the project manager to maintain the issue register. Let us move on to the quiz questions to check your understanding of the concepts covered in this lesson. Here is a quick recap of what we have learned in this lesson. The purpose of the change theme is to identify, assess, and control any potential and approved changes to baselines. There are three types of issues: request for change, off specification, and problem or concern. The different steps of issue and change control procedure are capture, examine, propose, decide, and implement. In the next lesson, we will discuss the next theme, progress.